I am so excited for today's session. We are going to be talking about A in the Alchemy series. So, A is for accepting yourself, awakening the heart, and embracing your feminine essence. So, before we get into it, I just want you to ground a little bit, feel your body wherever you are, whether it's you're walking and you're feeling your feet on the floor, or you're sitting in your chair and you feel your bum in the chair, and just feeling the space around you. Like, look around you and just kind of take it in, like being present in this moment now. If you can, take your phone, if you're not watching this on the phone, and put your phone face down so that you're fully present in this moment right now, or put it on do not disturb so we're not like scrolling and doing the things. Just listen, just be here now, feel it, come in, be in your receivership, be in your feminine. There's nothing to do. There's no notes to be taken down and doing the things. We got your back on that one. So it's just receiving the transmissions that come through. If you see my eyes darting around, it is because all my notes are behind you, and I want to make sure that we get straight to the point, that you get what you need, and then we can move into the embodiment practices and we can get life flowing so that we can crack your heart open, so we can really step into the Amor Alchemist and start our journey of alchemy. So what we're going to be talking about today is recognizing the suppression of the feminine energy and the disconnection of love. We're going to be talking about the origin of why this happens. We're going to be talking about the feminine pain body, the motherhood wounds, the motherhood wounds, the sisterhood wounds, and how this all originates in this essence called the feminine pain body. And then we're going to talk about what you're going to be doing in the embodiment practice. You're going to see the video for the embodiment practice. You're going to hear the transmission. It's going to be an audio-based one. So it's not going to be a video. It's going to be an audio-based one of how to open yourself so that you feel safe in your nervous system to cultivate love, because that's what this journey is, right? It's to alchemize all the narratives that are keeping you closed off from love so that you can feel safe. Because I'm going to bet there's a part of you that's like, I crave love and I'm a little afraid because either a caregiver hurt your heart, or a lover, or a partner, life. At this age, there's these bruised hearts just kind of running around this world. And we've become more masculine and more protective and more red flag oriented. And our amygdalas, which is our barking guard dog inside of our subconscious programming, are just going off all the time, trying to scan for danger to keep you safe. So you might notice as you go on this journey where that amygdala is going off because you're stretching your nervous system and it's going to try and pull you back into old ways and do the things. That's when we alchemize, when we surrender, right? And so what happens? Why do we suppress our feminine energy? Because when we were younger, we were feminine. You walk in with a baby, all eyes are on baby. Everyone loves baby. Kids can do no wrong, right? It's just, you're so cute even when you're pooping on yourself, and all you do is want to be fed and loved and all the things. And you're taught that, right? Like that's, you're given love. That's how your needs are met as your childhood self, right? Like that's the only way your needs get met, if someone is providing them for you. That's how we learn our attachment. That's how we learn boundaries. This is how we learn reliancy and needs and all the things. And then all of a sudden this thing happens where we start to get old, where it's like, oh, it used to be like cute when you would do these things. And now all of a sudden it's annoying when you cry. It's annoying when you have needs. It's annoying if you're not being the good girl, because you are supposed to be seen but not heard. And so you're taught now as you get older that this thing, if you ever look at kids, I used to be a teacher, they walk with their hearts out. They walk like this. That's how they move. And you can also tell because kids get over things. They don't hold grudges. A kid will cry and they move on with their life. And then we get patterns. We get protectors. I like to call them our little gremlins. They come in and they steal our joy. Because anytime you start to feel something, it's this, remember when you felt that last time? Remember when you fell on your heart and someone broke it? Remember when, you acted that way when you were silly and playful and like you expressed yourself and people laughed at you then because you didn't fit in. Remember that time you were genuinely you and someone came through and told you that that is unacceptable. So we build these walls. We just want to belong. That is human nature, especially as feminine back in tribes, which is where our brain is still at. If we didn't belong to the tribe, we would die. We were not hunter and gatherers, right? So it makes sense that we deeply want to belong. It makes sense that we want to be in the tribe. And then we get to the space where it's like, but I'm like weird and unique and I want to stand out and I want to do these things. I know I felt that in my life. I was like, I want to belong, but I am also just so weird. And it wasn't until I started to do this work of fully accepting who I am, the insecurities, the wild things, the faults, the shadows, was I able to come home to self? Was I able to attract the right relationships? That I was able to not worry about being chosen. That's never a worry in my head since doing this work. And that's what I want you to get to. Because when you can actually meet yourself and greet yourself and accept yourself, it's no longer this like outward belonging, it's this inward belonging. And so we suppress it because we're taught that this essence and this love is no longer safe, right? And so what do? We first have to go inward and meet our protectors. Where are we shaming this past version of self? Where are you blocking yourself from truly feeling lovable and worthy? What narrative is that? Whose voice is that? Because there's this part of us where there's a voice in our head that is our protector, our little gremlin. And then there's you that is witnessing that voice. That's trauma, right? I've said this before if you're new in my world, but it's like trauma is when there's a microphone in front of us. There's all these parts of ourselves, our insecure, our jealousy, our grief, our guilt, our all the things. And then there's one microphone and then there's us. And all of these parts are fighting for this microphone right here. Who do you think is being heard most of the time? The things that are screaming, that we're trying to shame and pretend don't exist and don't want to look at and don't do these things. So therefore we can maybe find a partner that can pull us in and do these things and we'll forget that these voices exist and maybe they'll calm down. But then actually we get close in a relationship and all those things come out. Vulnerability. All these things are coming for this microphone. When you control the microphone, you just forgot for a second. You forgot. And so this journey of alchemizing, this journey of accepting, this journey of opening your heart is remembering that you can witness these things happening. It's a choice. Love is within you because love is within you. You just forgot. Love was within you when you were born. Babies, eyes wide open for the world, just so loving until the parts of our past got in the way and told us that we are unlovable. And you are so lovable. You are so pure. You are so unique and rare. And I want that to land. And so is some things that might be coming up where it's like, well, if I wasn't modeled this, if I didn't have caretakers, if I didn't have the love, is it possible for me? Of course. This is where we get into spaces like this. People like you and me, we weren't taught this. Right? My background of domestic violence and sexual assault and abandonment from my father to my mother to I don't have family like that, So I went on this mission for 10 years to go, okay, it wasn't really 10. I would say it was like 5-ish, but I've been studying the human brain and psychology and sex therapy and whatnot for 10 years. Or it's like you go on this journey of I wasn't modeled this, but my kids, I'll be damned if they go through this. So what can I learn? The number one thing started with acceptance. Can I accept my body? Can I accept that I'm flawed? Can I accept that I don't know things? Can I accept that I have jealousy and anger? Can I accept that I have a past that many people won't understand? But if I can understand it, that is all that truly matters. Not even understand it. If I can accept, then I'm free. If you are continually trying to mold, to pretend that that part didn't happen, and mold and pretend that things don't exist within you, you're missing the greatest lesson that life is trying to gift you. Because all that's happening, you might not look at it, but it's running your life. 95% of who you are is a cellular makeup of who you've been. It is a subconscious programming. If you can think of it like an iceberg, you've probably seen that graphic before. It's the iceberg. 5% is your conscious thinking thought. We're getting in the underworkings of this, where we're accepting the dark side of the brain. We're accepting that things happen because you may not be modeled it. You may have had a past that people can't understand, but you get to choose your future. You're choosing your future by being in here. You can choose to have an open heart. You can choose to let go of the cage around your heart. You can choose to be vulnerable. And it really is a daily choice. That's why this is a daily practice. And it comes from witnessing that thought and going and choosing a different thought and accepting yourself that you have shadows, right? And this is where the part gets really juicy, because day to day, you're going to be, sorry, let me fix this because it's bothering me. Day to day, you are going to be challenged and tricked, because every day you have been going this way in your jungle of life and you have this pathway. And so your reticular activating system is seeking this route because it's safe and it's comfortable. And so as you're trying to make the position this way, whether it's in relationships and whatever, and you're choosing a different thing, and you'll be put in these same situations because that's what we do. Every day, it's choosing to respond from the future version of you instead of the past. And that only comes from knowing who is standing at this microphone right now. Okay? And so we can't ignore and shame the younger self that didn't know better, so she couldn't do better. We can't ignore and shame, whether it's teenage self, whether it's 20-year self, whether it's childhood self. We can't ignore and shame. It's just who is currently at the table. Can we give them acknowledgement? Because that's all our past ever wants. When it's running the show like this and we're seeing it repeated in relationships, this is oftentimes when we're chasing those unavailable partners and we're avoiding relationships in general. We're trying to protect this younger part, when all that younger part wants is to be acknowledged. But what we're doing is trying to get our needs met in the wrong places. Only you can meet your own needs that were not met in childhood. We're going to be talking about that in the next segment, about past hurts and things of that nature. And this is where, in this section, it gets into that like meat and potatoes. Let me make sure I'm doing, yeah, okay. Is that you could be craving such deep love, but you also have this confliction of letting deep love in because it's so scary. Why does that happen? Because the feminine is so afraid of it. What can we do? Get back into our feminine essence. What does that mean? Get into receivership, get into trust, get into surrender. And so anytime something comes in, it's choosing this way instead of this way. It's choosing from the present moment. And it's doing the work that we're going to be doing in the embodiment practice, which is noticing the younger self. It's feeling somewhere in your body, there's a tension that comes up. We have a stimulus and we have a reaction. And there's a space in between where we get to choose differently. What you're going to be going through inside of the embodiment practice is we're going to look at what that stimulus is in a safe way. Exploring what has this been trying to tell you this whole time. The thing you've probably built up a lot of proving energy around and a lot of walls and a lot of things. How can we actually start to go inward? See how this has been through over time. And I don't like to stay in origin for long, but I like to start at origin. Because in order to know where we're going, I just want you to see a little bit of what's going on, but not get hyper fixated on it. But we want to get safe in this feeling so that when we can feel this tension in the body, we can feel the stimulus, wherever it is. Before we respond, you release. And this comes from getting out of the mind and trying to hyper fixate and hyper do and hyper think and getting into the body. This is how the patterns change. This is how we release. This is how we reconnect to the wisdom of what this is. That's your feminine essence. It's no longer trying to prove and survive and do these things. It is, you belong because you are. As one of my mentors says, you were born worthy and nothing has changed. Nothing. Except for that we were built, we had life situations happen and they happened. And now we carry that to mean that we are unworthy. And then we fixate on thinking that something outside of us is somehow going to make us lovable when you are the essence of love. Right now, you can feel in your heart a memory of when love was, whether it was a partner at the time or a friend or a family member, a moment in time when love was there. You can feel it right now. That's the power of the mind that can turn the body on. That is something you hold every day and you might have forgotten. So in this journey, we are going to dismantle those protectors, those gremlins, so that you can become the living sanctuary, so you can become the Amor alchemist and create these safe invitations throughout your lifetime. And so that comes from healing the places that we were told we don't belong, the sisterhood wound, the motherhood wound. You're going to be exploring that throughout these days. Because going back to how you were, where you just know you're lovable. You're rare and valuable because you are. No matter what your mother's upbringing was, or the trauma that was passed, or the sisterhood wounds and the school childhood wounds, and we're fighting each other and bullying each other, and just like in Mean Girls, where it's like nitpicking and we can't trust anyone and people are shit talking and doing these things. We built up this stuff where it's like we don't trust anymore, and we've tried to manipulate and maneuver in our mind because it's safer there than it is here. When this is it. And then because you're here, this is magnetized. That's the feminine essence. That's awakening your heart. That's the magic. And so in this section, really what we were looking at, one of the quotes that I wrote down is the important thing is to be able to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. That's what accepting yourself, awakening the heart, embracing your feminine essence is. That's what A is. And so doing the embodiment practice every day, to see what's going on within the body and get to know this part of yourself without shame, without guilt, without, trying to get rid of some type of shadow in the past. It's just sitting with it without making it right or wrong. It just is. No feeling is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Gandhi. It is just a thing. And when you can sit, you're no longer afraid. You start to surrender. And so in this section, we talked about recognizing the suppression of the feminine energy and the disconnection of love, why that is. We talked about the origin of how this happens, the sisterhood, the motherhood wound, the feminine pain body. And what I mean by feminine pain body is there is this stuff being raised in a female's body in the feminine wound where the suppression of us our love, our laughter, our joy, our rage, our happiness, it is so much for a masculine world that we live in that it was suppressed. And now we're running around trying to be tiny little men, shaming ourselves by trying to be the cool girl. We're supposed to be seen but not heard. When you're seeing this wild want to come out, and so we have this pain body, and we communicate from the feminine pain body a lot with this manipulation tactics and this bitchiness. And then we're yelling at our men and emasculating our partners and doing these things, where when we can actually come from this space of love of I accept all that's what's in front of me, and I am the beacon of love, and I actually don't need anything from you. I just would choose for you to do it. And that from that place, then I'm yes, I will do it. They love it. Right? This, I don't know why I said there were dogs right there, but that is what we're getting you to. And it comes from you meeting your own needs, you filling the void of these parts that we're trying to shame and not accept and all these kind of stuff, to move into opening yourself up to love and being in your feminine essence. So I'm so excited for this module. Next module, we are going to be moving into letting go of past hurts and opening your heart to create secure attachment. And then for your homework for this one, you're going to have the embodiment practice. Do that every day until the next module drops. And then every single day, you're going to get a prompt, a journal prompt, to keep you in the flow. You're going to get something every single day here to keep you in the flow for 4 weeks, because this is how we change from one lane to the next, is staying in it. It's not popping around. It's not going to take you a long time, but you are going to stay in it consistently. Commit to that. Commit to the momentum. And so keep an eye out for the journal prompt. You're going to get the embodiment practice right after this. It's in the module already. And I like to do it in the morning and in the nighttime, because that is when our brain is relaxed. So I'll do the journaling in the morning and the night, embodiment morning and night. Before bed is the most potent time of day. That's when your subconscious memories, when your long-term memories get stored. So the cleaner that we can do, we can put the phone away, we can get rid of this stuff and watching things and whatever, and we can just be with self in prayer and devotion in this practice. I forget the statistics, but they're monumental. So I highly recommend doing it that way. So I love you. I'm so excited for this, and I'll see you inside of our Telegram group.